Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon face, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hey now all, I'm Joey C. Welcome back to another episode of Spirit Sherpa. This is the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. With me as always is the spirit doctor, Kelle Sparta. Hey Kelly.
Hey Joey.
Sometimes I feel like we just keep doing this over and over again.
I guess we do.
And it's fun every time. It's fun every time.
I know. It's been almost 2 years and here we are. We're still doing it. And I keep going, yay, I get to podcast today.
Speaking of podcasting.
Yes.
What's up for today?
I know you can guess.
Well, with your voice up at that octave. Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Joey. How you doing?
Doing very well. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we've got Kathy here.
Yes.
Which means that something big is coming.
Yeah.
What is our topic for today?
Now, I know you're tired of hearing about it. I know I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. But we're going to just say, we're going to talk about it because we need to. We're going to talk about the coronavirus and how to stay spiritually healthy while you're in lockdown or in self-quarantine or social distancing or whatever you're doing.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Because it's not easy right now to break away or to be healthy in any way.
It's challenging, yes. There are some things that I personally want to talk about, and Kathy's going to stick her 2 cents in, as I've invited her to do. And we're going to talk about our personal perspectives and what we've experienced and what's been going on for us and how we've been managing our own energies in the process as a way to sort of help you guys figure out how to navigate as well. The first thing I want to say is go to the download on the website, the free download Boundaries for Empaths at kellesparta.com and get it, because that's the very first critical factor step, is to get your energy out of everybody else's field, because you got your own angst. You don't need theirs too. Step number 1, go to the website, get the download. It's free. And when you get the download, do not immediately unsubscribe from the list, because over the next couple of days, you will get, in addition to the download, you'll also get a copy of the 45-minute coaching call that was on the Boundaries for Empaths topic. So it'll give you more detailed information. Okay. So make sure you stay on the mailing list. Don't unsubscribe immediately.
I had that conversation with somebody today who had the recording about pulling in her field, right?
Yeah.
So that everybody, particularly in more dense populated areas where she is, that when you have your field out like that, it's going to up your angst, your anxiety, all the other things, because it's not just your own, then you're experiencing everybody else's. But what I called her on was she wanted to know what everybody else was feeling.
Oh,
He was being curious. And I said,
being curious. They all are angsting just like you.
And I said, now is not the time to be curious. Now is the time to take care of yourself energetically, not to worry about what everybody else is feeling energetically. And we talked about the fact that if you are feeling like you are about to be harmed in any way, by all means, check it out. Pop the field, check it out, make sure. But to expand your field just to be curious is not worth the price that you're paying for it right now.
There's this way in which we think, oh, well, I'm curious. And the curiosity is more of there's 2 pieces to it. One is, can I make it better? Because we're looking to establish our value. Or 2 is, am I doing better than everybody else? Because that also helps us establish our value. How about you just say, I rock, I'm awesome, and I don't need to worry about other people. They can take care of themselves. They are competent humans. and let it go. This is really not the time to be messing around in other people's fields, because people are having very difficult times. And on top of it, typically in your day-to-day life, the collective unconsciousness, the collective unconscious that Jung talked about doesn't really impact us that much. I mean, we're all sort of in this state of whatever we are, and the good is balancing out the bad. And so therefore the collective is generally mostly neutral. But right now, because this is such a widespread and worldwide issue, the collective consciousness is angsting as well. And it is in crisis. So you doubly need to be not using your empathic abilities because you're already being impacted by that collective consciousness. And so, there's an additional level above and beyond. And that's why I'm not taking up time with exactly telling you how to do the boundaries for empath seeing and just telling you to download it, because there's an additional level of work that we can be doing to support ourselves energetically and emotionally at this time from the collective consciousness. And that's to filter out the angst from the collective consciousness. You can do that through intention, or you can do it through asking your guides to help you do it, or you can do it through both. I would recommend both. But the idea being that you just set the intention to just filter all of the angst and the upset and the worry and the dread and the panic and the anxiety and the blah, 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 right? That energy I just went with, blah. That's the energy you want to filter out. So when you filter that energy out of the collective consciousness, that will help you dramatically. Now, I want to say something about people working from home. Jeff works from home. He works for a company that does 401k investment customer servicing. He's got a lot of upset people calling in right now because the market's tanking and because they don't know what's going on. And what we found is that over the 4 or 5 days that he started working from home, the energy of angst was building up in our house because it was coming in through our wards via his telephone line. And so we actually set up a vortex in his office in the house to ground all of that energy, all of that angst and negativity. And that made a huge difference in the house's energy and in our mental stability. So if you are working from home and you're working anything remotely stressful, you may want to do that. And again, how do you do that? You intend it. You visualize it. I literally put it in place while I was sitting in the living room talking to Jeff. I'm like, we really should set up a vortex. And he's like, yeah, we really should. And I'm just like, okay, here's the vortex. It's keyed to, I'm focusing on setting it up, and it's going to pull all the energy of angst and upset down and ground it down. And you want to be specific about what it's grounding. You don't want it to suck all the energy out of the room because then he'll be exhausted. That would be bad. But just the energy of angst and upset grounded down underneath and into the ground to be composted. And that was hugely successful.
You don't want to put it in his chair.
No.
Okay. I mean, it matters where you put it so it doesn't get walked through, stepped in, all the rest of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's in his office, but I'm sure you put it in a corner or somewhere.
I put it under the desk.
Under the desk. Great.
Yes. I put it under the desk so that, his toes touched into it when he was sitting there, and it could just suck the energy down. And when he wasn't sitting there, it wouldn't be impactful. And yesterday morning, we woke up not feeling well, either one of us. Turns out it was allergies, but the energy of just sort of overtook us. And I just dumped the energy of that into the vortex at the same time. And that was really useful too. I was like, oh, look, I got something to put that in. And I instantly felt a whole lot better. So there are lots of things that you can do with that. But yes, you're right. Make sure it's not something that you're walking across on a regular basis. The other thing that I saw for me, and Kathy, you and I talked about this last week, early in the week. And just so you guys know, we're recording this on the 22nd of March. It's not going to come out for a week. So if things sound out of date by the time you hear it, they may be, because it's a very quickly changing world out there. But early in the week, this past week, I was having a really hard time. Now, how much of that was attributable to Jeff's work angst coming into the house or not, I don't know. But I got on the phone and I talked to Kathy and I said, I am a generally happy person and I am in a really good place in my life. And I have had so much just coming in and overwhelming me that if I were remotely suicidal, I'd probably kill myself right now. She was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I want you guys to know that this is happening, and Joey's nodding his head as I'm saying this. This is going around, and this is not you. This is the collective consciousness. And the thing that I found that broke the spell for me was that I had to sit down and take a look at who I was being called to be for the next 20 years and how I was resisting it. And when I sat down and I admitted the fears and I admitted the upset and I admitted the doubts and the, whatever else it was that was going on for me, I sat with Jeff in bed one night and just poured my heart out going, ah. And the next day I woke up and I felt so much better. I just want you to consider that this is a time of great transition. And there was a astrological conjunction that happened recently that has not happened in 500 years. That was the time of the bubonic plague, by the way, 500 years ago. There's also been the shift that happened at the beginning of the year with, I think it was a 32-year cycle or something 20-year cycle. I don't remember. We talked about it at the time. Whatever it was, go back and listen. I don't remember. but it feels like this is the time when you're being asked to step in, to lean in, to stop pussyfooting around and make a choice, and to commit to your choice and commit to your vision and commit to your purpose. For those of you who don't know what your purpose is who you are, right? And to really come out of the spiritual closet and be who you are. And, I've told my angst about the be who you are story in the past, and, it is what it is. But so I get it. But there's a moment of just really admitting to yourself and perhaps to another living human of saying, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to be required of me. I'm tired at my age. Kathy and I talk about this a lot at our age after we've been doing this for so long. We're freaking tired. It's like I have been going uphill both ways for 20 fucking years and I'm tired. And, you get to this point where you're just like, oh, to admit it to somebody else is to release it from your field and to allow yourself to move through it. And so, it may be a good time to do that for you.
From my perspective, not that, because I think that's the piece where you went through it. And I think there's a definite calling to step up. Okay. Yeah. We talked about the 4 different categories of responses that I see out there right now to this. And one of those is the calling to step up. And you see that. I see it a lot in my inbox. I see it, the people who are going into their restaurants and making food for the people that don't have it, or, for shut-ins or for delivery, the car parts manufacturers who are, switching over to make masks, the distilleries who are making hand sanitizers, the vetted GoFundMes that are putting together money for, people who are out of work, the people, that there's a segment of the population that is stepping up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the piece that you're talking about, is the call to step up and stepping into it. Yeah. And they aren't, the chef is cooking, the truck driver is driving his truck. I mean, they're stepping up in that way and continuing. The healthcare professionals are continuing in that. They're living into their purpose and their process. I think there's also a piece where if you are fearful right now, that there's also spiritual health that has to do with how do you deal with that? Because right now it can feel I'm certain some people feel that, what do you mean step up? I'm scared. I don't even know right now what to do about that. And some of the tools and techniques I've been using to stay out of the fear aspect is to the stillness practice, come to center when I get up in the morning, during the day when I need it, and before I go to bed at night. And by coming to center, it's really stepping into being for, a couple minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, but acknowledge what is. Do you have a roof over your head? Acknowledge that. Do you have food in your fridge? Acknowledge that. Are you reasonably healthy at this point in time? Acknowledge that. Are you still breathing right now? Acknowledge that. Because all that external information out there, the daily count of, exponential this and that and the other thing, it can feel overwhelming, but it's out there. It's not necessarily your truth in this moment. So what is your truth? Come back to center and be, and then respond from center. Because when you can clear out the fear, then when you're called to step up, it's an easier call to answer. I also doing daily clearings. I'm sure you've talked about that before, where to just clear yourself energetically from everything that may have showed up in your field, either because you expanded your field and now you got to pull it back in again, or just because of listening to media or some other things whereby, hooks happened, and to just clear all that out of your field so that you can, again, be centered and be as calm as possible and be in a place of response and stepping up if at all possible.
Yeah. We did do an episode on how to clear your energy field. Good. So it's early on. So if you haven't gone back and listened to the beginning, it is very early on in the podcast, but it is there. The other thing that I noticed is that when I was having these feelings and getting overwhelmed, what I found was I was also getting a little dizzy and feeling very ungrounded and my foundation was missing. What I discovered was that this is what it feels like now to go into the energetic fetal position for me. And what that means is that you cut off your crown and your root chakras and you shut them down so that you can't receive energy in from the outside. It's a defense mechanism. It's a safety defense mechanism, but it is not going to serve us at this time. So I put out on YouTube the other day, last week, a video that is basically an audio with a picture, but it's the tree meditation. And so if you're on my YouTube channel, you can go and get that and listen to it. We'll put a link in the show notes to that video as well. But the tree meditation gets you out of the energetic fetal position. It connects you to the earth and to the sky. And that actually helps a lot in terms of improving your mental, emotional, and energetic stability and health. And so I highly recommend doing the tree meditation as often as you need to. I was finding in those days last week that I was having the experience, I was finding that I was doing it a couple times a day. Your results may vary, but do it when you need it is what it comes down to. And
be sure to ask for support. I mean, from both on this plane and on other planes. If you have spirit guides, if you have angelic support, if you whatever are your sources of support, don't forget about them. Don't lose track of them. Stay in contact. Allow them to be with you and to support you. I did that the other day, opened up my sacred space and because I just got called. It's like, I need to do that right now. And I don't know why, but I need to do that right now. And as I stepped into my sacred space and the aspects in the spirit guide showed up, the love and support was just overwhelming. And there was a piece of me that just deeply relaxed and felt. And I had no idea I was wound that tight in that moment. I knew I was getting through the process, but I did not realize that I needed it as much as I did. I followed the intuition to go into that space and ask for that support. And it was very, very helpful to me, not only in that moment, but, as I move forward. And a great reminder of, we live in a culture where, the lone independent, we got to be able to make it function on our own. Spiritual health in part is recognizing our connectedness on a variety of different levels, both horizontally and vertically in the various layers of energetics, and to just remember that we are connected and to make use of those connections to support you during this time frame.
Right. And I'm going to clarify something Kathy just said. She said if, but she actually meant you have spirit guides, you have angels, reach out to them. What she meant was if you have a relationship with them, yes, whichever ones you have a relationship with. But we all have spirit guides and we all have angels. And even if you don't have a relationship with them, reach out and ask, and maybe this can be the start of a beautiful relationship.
Yes.
There's a lot right now. There's a lot emotionally for people, spiritually for people, and even in what we just talked about here today, there's a lot of things that are going to require that the folks listening get their heads around. Coming to center, reaching out for help, both here and abroad, if you will. The bringing in your energy field, but maintaining openness to grounding as well as to source. There's a lot to do. And I think it's important that for those who are listening, you understand nobody's saying it's going to be easy, but you can do it. You can do it. And we're all going through it at the same time. There's no person who has a magic pill here that's going to make this all better fast. And we all wish we did. But we're going to get through it together. And that's the only way.
Yeah.
And there's a way in which the inclination that we have when we feel uncomfortable is to do something. That's been the thing that that's been showing up for me since the angst broke, is this desire to do something, which I think is actually still part of the collective consciousness. But what I have been leaning into in the last day and a half, 2 days, is the fact that no, there is nothing to be done right now short of being with ourselves and taking care of ourselves and our loved ones. That we are in fact waiting for everything to shake out. Yeah. And that there is a time of pause, of a moment of breathing and taking space. I can literally feel the world slowing down. We have been running at a breakneck pace for 15 years, 20 years. And this is our collective inward sigh. And I would really encourage you to take a moment to breathe into the collective inward sigh, to just be like, okay, because when we get angsty, we go, but if you release it, then all that tension goes too, and right? So I would really encourage you to recognize that the intake of breath has happened and to do your part in releasing it. And just allowing yourself to be in the moment as we are moving through, as things are shifting. Trust your intuition. Don't go into your fear, because your fear is not rational. And as Kathy has said on multiple occasions, we lose 10 points of IQ when we go into our fear.
Fear makes us stupid.
Yes. Cue the toilet paper hoarding. Yes.
Yes.
The point is to just be present, be in the stillness. We can't go anywhere anyway. Right. You got no place to go. No, there was a ritual years ago that the Earth Spirit community did that was, there's no place else to go and nothing else to do. You have no place else to go and nothing else to do. No place else to go and nothing else to do. That's all there is. So this is a practice in stillness. This is a practice in being where you are and being embodied in the moment, and reminding yourself that what's happening right now is okay. Mm-hmm. You are okay. I was on the phone the other night with my husband's family, and I was just saying to them, I actually feel really grateful to be in this experience right now. It is a unique experience. It is something that other generations did not get to have. It is a completely, I'm back to the unique experience, right? It's just we're having a moment in time that does not come around very often. Thank God. But It is a moment in time that doesn't come around very often. And as a spirit living in a physical body, I am thrilled with the uniqueness of the experience. And, I'm just enjoying the process of being present for what is this massive shift. I don't know what the shift is. I don't know where it's going. I'm not going to pretend to know. I just can feel the pregnant pause before things unroll. Yep. And I am just being with that and being honored to be in the moment of it.
I wanted to add one thing to that. I was doing a message the other day, channeling a message. And I said, okay, what is the most important thing I need to focus on? And it was really that what came back was focus on what's really important. That this is an opportunity to really sit back and assess, not all the things we've gotten ourselves caught up in, the running around and the here, there, and everywhere and all the rest of that, but to come back to what's really important. What is it that's important? And then focus on that.
Awesome. This has been fantastic. Thank you both. This is a good reminder while we're focusing on our 3D physical health and ensuring and being smart in that space, which is important for us to do there as well. Mm-hmm. It's also important for us to pay attention to our spiritual health, because through something like this, we could lose sight of that and we could get lost in the angst and those feelings that everyone is feeling. So this has been wonderful. Thank you both for the message. Also, through this, community is a big deal. And we're not going to do a lot of promotion here, but I think that it's important to remind you that wherever you can find community, wherever you can find like minds and like souls, do it. Spirit Sherpa Podcast After Party Facebook group is one of those places. This is not a promotion for the community. It's just a reminder that there are people out there that you can go to and talk to who are sharing the same experience with you. It's a unique experience, but we're all sharing it at the same time. So
yeah, and Kathy and I are in that group. So if you have any questions about anything we've said here today, please reach out and ask. We're happy to answer them.
Excellent. Well, I think that's all that we have. Anything you two want to add to wrap up?
Stay inside. Seriously.
Yes, please.
It is not an illusion. No. This shit is real. Stay inside.
Yep.
Self-quarantine. I think that this is showing us how really interconnected we all are. And I think that in a lot of ways in the world, we have been divided. We have been shown all the ways in which we are separate. And this is a way that's bringing us all back to we are all human and we are all interconnected. And that we have a chance to step into that from a spiritually healthy, loving, and embracing kind of energy. And I would encourage everyone to do that. And part of doing that is staying inside, of recognizing that we are all interconnected, and the way we help one another is to not infect one another, but to follow the guidelines and attempt to work with what is needed in this time frame to minimize as much as possible the impact on everyone. I mean, we have the pregnant pause. Let's not make it a pregnant year. Right. That's my 2 cents.
I think that's perfect. All right. Thank you both very much. And thank you everyone for listening. And that's all that we have for this week, but be sure to join us next time as Kelle adds another chapter into your guide to energy, magic, and the spirit world. I'm Joey C. here with Kelle Sparta and Kathy Scheiern, and you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Each mile I travel over 13,000 now. I leave behind a little fear.
Spirit Sherpa is the sole property of Kelle Sparta Enterprises and is distributed under Creative Commons BY-NC-ND 4.0 license. For more information about this licensing, please go to creativecommons.org. Any requests for deviations to this licensing should be sent to KELLE@KELLESPARTA.com. That's Kelly@KelleSparta.com. To sign up or to get more information on the programs, offerings, and services referenced in this episode, please go to KelleSparta.com. This episode of Spirit Sherpa has been produced by Honu Voice Productions.